let's go. It does create even more backtracking. You can come for the price of $6.99. I mean, why can't I come and then get paid? Grandfather clock appears to be broken. Stop taking off together. Is this not the one? LMAO. I mean, look at me. I'm already a content creator. You know what I'm saying? Not a good one, but I dip my toe in. I could dip something else in, if you know what I'm saying. Let's give Tofu a shout out.
Nice. Did Frank get first? Of course he did. He's like the best one, which is cool. So that party was a blast because I did amazing. Like I was undefeated.
Hell yeah, brother. How's it going?
Like, because we had two.
You are first.
Right? Everybody I fought, I sent them to the loser bracket.
Heal yeah, brother.
Him like halfway through, sent him to the loser bracket. And
Get started. I hope you're having a great Friday. I'm super stoked that it's fucking Friday.
Like fucking Scorpion himself, he just climbed his way out of the nether realm and got his
Let's see.
And,
I'm really enjoying this game.
It was down to me and him. And,
Quite like it.
I didn't win a single round of that fight. He fucking his ass with me. So if I was there,
Button is
I
it?
would've been second.
I'm having an amazing Friday. Oh hell yeah, dude.
Talking shit.
Hell yeah, brother. Get started.
Like break the TV.
Wait. It's gonna be mean. I forget. Okay. I know this is one of those games where I have to do like the borderless stuff, but I think it's gonna be behaving. Should be behaving. Also, I thought I was live for like 3 minutes. And I never actually hit stream. So I was like, stupid. Stupid ass. Uh-oh. Okay, cool. That works. What are you up to tonight? I'm happy you're streaming because I needed something to watch. You know, I'm trying to fight the urge to say just hell yeah, brother to everything. But chapter 3, I looked it up. Apparently there's like 8 chapters. Coming for a new AVI. AVI? Oh yeah, brother. What's an AVI? Avi? Avatar. After I said Avi, I was like, the doy. Oh, I forgot I was wearing this shit. Oops. Oh, and then Dude was saying last time, apparently there's an option to wear cheeks. Yeah. He said there was an option to like make it to wear playstyle. No. Like, let's say I need like a rifle for a particular, what was that? What connected? Okay. For like a particular recipe, or a pistol for another one. Apparently there's one for like similar items to where any gun can be used. I want to turn that shit on. That's an option. Where that shit at? Player? Oh, it's probably an upgrade actually. Oh, I didn't think about that. It's probably one of these. Points. Oh shit, I got 4 points. That's how I remember it being. Yeah, I forgot his name. Unders, the guy that I was co-oping with last time. He said that was a thing I can get. I don't know if it's like a perk or what, but I want it. Combo categories. What is this doing up here? All construction. Novelty, pressure. What is this? Why is this in attributes? Can I just... Oh! I don't know what I just did. I don't know what I did. Here's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna load that again. Can I? Yeah. This is it. Oh, is that it? Look at the description of each icon. Angel. I don't read. I have a hard time reading chat. Was that really it? Was that the thing? Oh, it's ass. Just fucking ass with this guy. So it was under player, and then... Okay. Use any gun to build these combo weapons. Use any computer. Okay. Do I assign? It's deep in his cheeks. It's in there, dude. He's like flossing. If he takes it off, it's gonna go like what? Like a fucking like a bow. I'm gonna get melee. Agility would be cool. Smarts. Oh, I wanted smarts because I get more PP. Yeah, I got PP gain. I'm crying, LMAO. But yeah, do I have to like assign? It says for any of these 0 combo weapons. It's like, all right, cool. I'm thinking ahead. I'm working in advance. It's fucking ass and titties. Ass and titties. I forgot the buttons. Oh. I think I'll unlock more as you go. Bet. Alright, where the fuck was I going? Get to the police station. Side mission! Where you at? Okay, I'm on my way, brother. Let's get the bus depot. Yes! Ah! Wait. Just a fucking naked man on the run right now. There's zombies everywhere. Ass and titties. Ass and titties. I don't remember the lyrics, but I remember there's also like, yo, ass needs some soap and water. Some soap and water. Oh shit, I'm going the wrong way, aren't I?
Get off my car!
Ah! This way or go right? Okay. Man, I don't know this map that well. Even though I appreciate this game has, I don't think I've seen a single fucking load screen. This is awesome. Uh-oh. Fuck off my car, bitch. Ooh, I like the roller just because. Oh, damn, dude. Chill, bro. Take it easy, man. I love the randomness of the game. I love that you're fucking experiencing it on stream. Dude, this game is awesome. Like, I'm not kidding. I think this is my favorite one so far. Like, I thought 4 was fine. 1 and 2 are goated, but I think... Like, what took me so... Oh, I know what took me so long. I don't have a fucking Xbox. Well, I do now, but... You know my point. Like, story is cool. The environment. Also, I feel like I'm yelling at you because this is really loud in my ear right now. I knew it. Yeah, I think you called it. You were right. Yeah, this game slaps. What's the line? It's so good, it'll make you want to slap your mama. If you loved 4, you're gonna love this one. I think I liked 4. I don't think I loved 4. 4, I think started strong, and it kind of just lost me a little bit towards the end. But I think the big thing about that one was the Christmas theme. I think they went a little too hard with it. Like, I'm totally the guy who's like, you know, go bold or go home, but also like, does every zombie have to be a fucking elf? You know what I mean? Is that a Cadillac? What is that? Get off my car, bitch! I had a collectible snow globe when game Forced came out. Dude, wait, really? There's a, oh, you said had, so does that mean I have it anymore? Go the right way? Yeah, I'm going the right way. I have a few things. Some of it I gave away. I still have from Alien vs. Predator, that when it came out in like 2010. I have the face hugger that came with it for Alien vs Predator. I gave it to my niece, so she has the Max Payne 3, like where he's standing with the gun, but it like melted in my apartment. Remember that one apartment I had? I was next to like my desk, which is next to the window, and we had like a heat wave because we live in Vegas. There's always a fucking heat wave, and the motherfucker was like slanting. It was just weird. Also, I have the black mask at the table from Arkham Origins, and I have the keychain, it's a keychain bullet, and you unscrew it, and you can hide your weed in here. No, it's already summer, but I haven't seen it in a while. No, yeah, it melted. It's okay. I see them on eBay all the time for like 30 bucks. So if I really, really want one, I can get another one. Also, I'm pretty sure it's for like Coke or something, but I'm like, why is GameStop selling me this paraphernalia, huh? And then when I worked at GameStop, I just stole everything. I was like, did I appear to this? No, but I want it. Give me my sandwich keychain. Uh-oh. Whee! I'm like Thor right now. What weapons do I have? Okay. So you can put your weed in there. It's true. It has a little like compartment. It's either that or like crushed pills. What would Max? Because Max doesn't seem like the cocaine type, and I think Max needs weed. You know, I think some little doobie would fucking mellow him the fuck out. He's a morphine and painkiller guy. Oh, why are you crying, dude? What's wrong? Give me a baby. You need a hug?
Hey, is everything all right?
There is nowhere safe.
You look outside? No, motherfucker. Nothing is all right. Yeah, exactly. Nothing's safer sacred, not anymore. Sobs harder. Talk to Troy. Yeah, I'm talking to him.
Easy now.
Take it easy, man.
What's going on? Seriously,
I'm just a naked man with a big heart.
I have one thing left of my dead daughter's unlocked. A man offered to take me out of the city in exchange for it. I was so afraid. In a moment of weakness, I agreed, but then he took it for himself and left me here to die.
Oh. I got you, dude. I'll go get it.
If it would help.
I don't care if I die anymore. I just want that locket back.
You look like me when I get older. And a little darker. Alright. Oh, wait. Nom nom. I hear a collectible. Oh, it's a gun. There. Ooh. Wee. A glove gun? Cardboard cutout and a pogo stick. Dude, these recipes are so fucking specific. Also, this game has a shitload of recipes. Just saying. A pogo stick and a cardboard cutout. Here, I'll come back, Nick. Because I'll need a weapon. I'm gonna break this one getting your fucking bullshit. How far are you? Oh, there's a mask or what is this? Oh, it's a look at how I died and get points, get PP. Tragic ending, that's what they're called. Alright. I got 2,000 PP for that. Oh, they included a few iconic ones from DR2. What's your favorite recipe? And specifically, because you know this franchise way more than I do, what specific recipes from 2 are you referring to? And you can give me the name, but you'll have to describe it, because they always have weird names, like the Thunderfucker or something. Like, what does that do? The lightning dildo that you throw at them, like ninja stars. Wait. He said capiche, dude. Alright, it's on, you douchebag.
You bitch ass around now and you won't get hurt.
Do I have to kill you? I talk to you?
I'm here to recover a lock you took from a sad friend of mine. Is that a fact? Oh, you hear that, Jesse? He's got a sad friend. You want me
Hey, Jesse.
to friend something else to be sad about, Mr. DeMar?
I think you stand where she stood.
Father, man.
Dude, Jessie was a baddie. Was it Jessie or Jess? I forget what her name was. It was Jessica, but they shortened it. Either way,
Besides,
that one.
everyone knows there's no way out of this city.
The Defiler is my fave. Fire axe and sledgehammer, and lightsaber, jams and flashlight. Was that in 2? That wasn't in 1? The lightsaber?
Tell your sad little friend at least he'll be joining her real soon anyway. Now beat it.
Scram!
And maybe your punk ass needs a lesson in respect.
Do you see what? Oh, you motherfucker! Oh, it's on, bitch! Fucking bitch! Fucking get over here! Get the fuck over here! You too, Jesse! No! Alright. Strike 1, Jesse, you bitch. That's in 2. Well, well, well. Who the fuck it is? Look who the fuck it is. What up, DJ? How you doing, man? I defended myself. Are you proud of me? Are you proud of me, DJ? Got the precious locket. Alright, Jesse, I wish I could say it's been a pleasure, but go fuck yourself. You get some whiskey. Imagine getting hit, pussy. I know, right? Couldn't be me. Dude, I fucking launched him all the way over here. I was like in the corner over here. I'm a private show. Look, I look like I work here. I love shag rugs, lol. Do I want one? I want the whole thing. You know what I want? I'm not fucking around. Whenever I have like, I want like a big house, and I'm gonna have a room that looks just like this. Like, I want one. I'll have the robe and everything. Fireplace. It probably won't be Samus. It'll probably be like fucking Zoe Kravitz or some shit. And then how black of you. Nice. The cigar too. Yeah, a cigar, champagne. Yeah. It's good to have goals, you know? It has to be a Nubian queen on the photo. Yeah, I'll probably have like, everybody did like this, like Pam Grier. I'll probably do Pam Grier. She was kind of a baddie. She's only gross, but it's whatever. Or Paula Patton, my true love. Well, before she got like the platinum blonde hair and like the short hair. Want to hear a series of fucked up events? Is that the new Lemony Snickets? Oh shit, cool. Yeah, let me just break this while I'm at it. Let me see if I can get some pee-pee. Pee-pee for you. Because I have pee-pee from you. Bring me your pee-pee. No, it's my life. I figured. Is everything okay, first of all? Doing good, my guy? Or I could do the thing that like my teacher used to do that pissed me off. He's like, Superman does good. You're doing well. I'm like, bitch. So I finally moved apartments. Good. Fucker. Puta. Hijo de puta. Pinche puta tu madre. When moving, I lost PTO because it never got accepted, so I lost pay. Who the fuck does that, dude? I get PTO for a fucking reason. Any company that doesn't let you use it or doesn't approve it. I like that one comedian who's just like, well, they should stop calling it PTO request. They should call it PTO warning. It's like, oh, it's been denied? Well, I guess I'm calling in sick. But I'm sorry to hear that, dude. That is pretty fucked up. Fucking the rock bottom while I'm at it, motherfucker. Also, I didn't know I can open trunks. What's in here? Handgun and a flashlight. I lost more pay. Oh, then during my 24-hour stream, my PTO was accepted, but then my manager never put time in. Dude, report that shit. Go to HR, go to payroll, and tell them that. That's fucked, man. Where do you work? And is it acceptable practice there to beat somebody's ass? That is not cool. It's like the leprechaun. You're playing with me coin. Fucker, let me go. Yeah, that's not cool, dude. Like, your manager should pay that shit out of pocket if that's what it comes into. It's like, oh, it was accepted, but I didn't turn it in, so my bad, bro. I would, but last Thursday, after my sister's graduation ceremony, I was told by a coworker that I was removed from my site. I don't know what that means. Are you in construction? Is that what that means? I know the objective's over there. I'm just killing shit while this weapon's about to die. Or, don't touch me. Yeah. I work security, so I lost my contract. Basically, I lost my job. Bro. Is there like a union you could talk to? That's fucked up, dude. That's not fair. I've been throwing a fucking fit, dude. I'm sorry to hear that. I know what I'm saying isn't helping your situation, so I'm sorry for coming across a certain way, but I feel for you, dude. That's fucked up. Too many call-offs? How much time did you take off? I mean, not that that matters. I mean, it sounds like your situation was valid. So, dude, I'm mad for you. You know what? Every zombie I'm killing is either your manager or payroll or whoever fucked you over. Boom, they're dead. What? Boom. I just killed 3 of your fucking managers for you. Brother, I had 35 hours of PTO. That's not acceptable, man. I don't know who you could talk to about that. Is there another company you could work for? Because you said contract. Does that mean you're like like a pay contractor? Like, do you have to go like a project per project basis? So Arizona is the right side to work. Wait. Arizona is a right to work state. I don't know what that means. Isn't every state? Don't you have the right to work in every state? I know that sounds retarded, but I don't know what that means. Ah! I'm gonna die. Okay, I broke finally. I'm gonna go turn in my request. What's this? Means they have the right to terminate your employment if seems fit. So if you try to fight it, they can have X reasons to let you go. That's fucking terrible, bro. I'm sorry, man. Here's to you, brother. Look at this Mexican man's butt. I went to a new security company in today and I got the job. High fucking five, bro. Does it start till June 2nd? Oh man, that's rough. Like I couldn't afford personally to lose that much time. So just dude, best wishes for real, on God, no cap, straight bussin'. But congrats on the new job. And they get paid weekly, so I'm losing 3 weeks of pay. Dude, yeah, that's what I was worried about. Well, hopefully your new company treats you better, dude. I hate that. I hate that happened to you.
Maybe this will help you move on and find some closure.
Thank you so much. You brought back a piece of her. Hey, maybe you can help me find someplace safer now.
God damn it, I have to take this motherfucker to a...
Going for the record.
Oh, he's lingering now. Linger. Am I getting 2? That's a lot. That's a lot of pee-pee. Yeah, I'm sorry to hear that, bro. Yeah, I'm gonna make some weapons so I can kill my fictional versions of your old employers. Oh. Oh, I get it. One of those items.
Awesome.
All right, Troy. I'm not giving you one of these weapons. Here, you look like you can play guitar. Here you go, brother.
Okay. You're all right.
You're all right. Where's the nearest safe house so I can get you the fuck away from me? Oh. Yeah, damn, that's a good weapon. It's too good. I can't use that. Yeah. How do we get over there though? Do I have to zoom in? Oh yeah. It's gonna go around. Bring it around town. All right, Troy, we're going on an adventure. Yeah, DJ, I mean it. I know I'm probably sound like a goofy asshole right now, but congrats on the new job. Get over there. Can I cut through? I think I can. Ooh. Oh, that's got to be a fucking green herb reference. I think those are red herbs. Oh boy. You shall not pass! Demand and defend, motherfucker.
Totally my fault.
Sorry, Troy. You're in the way. You gotta stand back. I'm too cool. Too awesome. He's too tight.
Looks like I got some friends.
Yeah. Don't touch me. I don't care, Troy. You are just extra pee-pee for me. That's all you are, motherfucker. Oh boy. Motherfucker's trying to grab on my hang dang. Troy, you fucking suck. Trust me, I'm doing you a favor by trying to find your way out of here. How do I open this? Like, crawl in? How do I... Legend says this is a safe house. On the roof? Let me in! Hold on, actually wait, for real, how do I get in there? Oh, is this underground or above ground? It's above ground! Okay, okay. Alright, come here, Troy. Come here, Troy. No, Troy. How do I get in there? God damn it. Troy, you're ruining everything right now. I hope you know that. There's zombies everywhere, and the worst part of my day is running into you. Maybe I can get in there and there's a second floor. We're going back, Troy. Son of a bitch. Chemicals? Nice. There's a lot of chemicals in here. Oh, dude, there's little cowboy boots. Hazmat boots. Yeah, let's do it. Come on. God damn it. God damn it. No. Troy, if you die, it's not my responsibility. See, this is really the only part of the game I don't like. It's how hard it is to fucking pick what I want up. Because I have to aim with my body rather than where I'm looking, you know? There we go. Also, I don't know why the game does that. I just saw it happen over there, where I pick up something, like I change inventory, and then for some reason... Hey, Troy, come here. Here, take this, dude. For some reason, it trips up the stream. You guys get a black screen for a couple seconds. Not make sense. So, went the wrong way. Fuck. Alright, keep up, Troy. I'm not trying to lose you. Alright, how do I get upstairs? That's the mystery here. Sorry, my dad called. What'd I miss? Oh, nothing. I'm just trying to figure out where to put this fucking goober. I'm trying to find a safe house to put him, but he's won't. I don't know how to get in there. Skill issue? Yeah, a little bit, but you know, despite my addiction to video games, I never claimed to be good at them, which makes it all that much sadder. So I have to get to the roof somehow. No, you didn't miss much. I hate your old company. I'm wishing you the best of luck at your new job. And that's about it. Yeah, back to living sneaky ass life. Yeah, that fucking sucks, dude. All right, I'm just gonna take him to another safe house on the way. A long way. All right, Troy. You gotta keep up with me. You gotta burn that fat, all right? You want buns like this guy? You gotta keep running, all right? You need to look find the car, though. You ever see those videos of security guards that are constantly fighting with people and other fuck shit? Yeah, that sounds about right. I've seen that kind of stuff. Do you have to deal with like nuisance streamers? Like those is just a prank bros? The company is called Allied Universal. Wait, they have bad rep all over the United States, but mostly in Vegas and Florida, especially Orlando. Dang. And this is your old company, right? Yeah. Alright, bye, Troy. You'll be missed. Troy, I found us a car. Hop in, pimp. Troy? 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 The fucking car, Troy. Oh, fuck! It's a dead end. No, hold on. I can make it. I can make it. No shortcut. Fuck. I'm blaming you, Troy. Alright, Troy, this is just temporary. Here you go. I'll find a better car. Yeah, I stuttered like that. Pretty hard. Hop in, Troy. The company worked... That company worked that one country singer shooting incident? Oh, fuck. Yeah, I know the one. I'm in Vegas.
Hey, watch it! Get them all!
Even though, I mean, in that situation, I don't know what they could have done, man. Like, that was like some, like, Secret Service level shit. It sucks that somebody was capable of that. I like that they get on the car. Oh, I'm gonna go the right way. Yes. All right. All right, motherfucker. We're right here. Okay. Jesus. Troy, no! Oh, sorry, Troy. I didn't mean to do that. All right, come in, brother. How do I do
How the
this?
hell do you get into this police station?
Police station? I'm not trying to get in the police station. I'm trying to keep Troy alive.
Here's something.
Troy, you're gonna die. I'm sorry.
Hey, kid, thanks.
How you doing health-wise? You still not great? Here you go, Troy. Here's a cookie.
That works.
Ooh, I can get a fedora so I can be all like, my lady. Yeah. It's time. Right back. She who gave birth to me is calling me. Nice. Oh, I get a fucking afro wig? Very tempting. How the fuck? Dude, this game is a very confusing map. Is this not a safe house? This is like, I'm on point here. What is the big deal? Game. I'm literally standing on the safe house logo, but there's no bathroom in here. Do I gotta get like on the second floor? Probably. Let me see. Is there like shops above there? Fuck. Oh, there kind of is. Oh, it's totally up there, isn't it? That's not nice. Well, I'm gonna save here. Oh shit, I mean do that, Troy. You know what? I don't care about your bullshit either, Troy. Alright? I'm trying to keep you alive, motherfucker. You ungrateful piece of shit. Alright, I think I found it. Alright, Troy. That'll do, pig. Can you stay here? You are dismissed. Can I do that? I think I can. There's like a survivors menu. Where the fuck was that at? Play on. Ooh. Oh, do I have to equip one of these? Oh, it's like firearms, weapon durability. Oh, PP gain. Need more PP, please. Locker. Here we go. Survivor bulletin board. Oh, I could pick them. Oh, Robbie's still alive. Can I unassign? Can I be like none? I'm gonna pick a dead person. Anna, I'm sorry. My first loss. Oh, my cat's chasing a laser. How do I keep these motherfuckers alive? Can I not dismiss them? Are you gonna follow me? Can you stay here? If I leave and you... Yeah, Troy! Fuck yeah! Fuck off. That's all I want. What does this do? What is this even called? This is that chemical and grenade shit. What's it do? I guess it explodes. Oh, that's it! It's not that great. Get out of here. Get out of here, weapon. I hate you. Fucking like jumping to get me. Alright. Oh, there's a gun right here. Wait, is it not? It's fireworks, isn't it? What's the crossbow combo? Crossbow and motor oil. Alright. I must not have that recipe. I must have not picked it up. That's fine. Troy, I hate you. That'll do, pig. Ooh, wee! Wait, a Blanca hat. Is this a weapon? Can I wear it? Alright. Oh shit!
The information from the cameras.
It was me, officer.
All of it. Give it to me. I want to put it somewhere safe.
She sounds like Mrs. Bighead.
Last thing we need is evidence of our rescue.
Please!
I like what I'm seeing.
Someone! Stop! Please help me. My wife.
There's that one episode.
With you.
Oh, she sounds better. Oh, she sounds gross when she's like whispering.
Lock this place.
Tell me this is a psychopath without telling me this is a psychopath. But anyway, there's a part when
Please.
Rocco starts doing laundry, or not laundry, the yard, like yard work for Mr. and Mrs. Bighead. And then while Mr. Bighead's at work, Mrs. Bighead is totally like trying to fuck Rocco.
They don't call
And then
for nothing.
one of the parts that cracked me up was that, goddamn, it was at the end when I guess somehow he gets them to like reconcile.
Observant one, isn't he?
And one of the lines that really stuck with me, and keep in mind, I was like 10 when I saw this shit.
The hero.
It was, "Oh, you shaved for me," and I was like, "Ew."
Or limps out at the end.
She sounds like
Get in here, boys. Move, move, move. Make this thing.
Have you guys seen Penguin? That one mobster's wife, the one that sounds like Optimus. She sounds like that when she's like doing a little low voice. Ooh, wait. Oh, Troy, no! Troy, you were supposed to stay behind. Don't be a hero. Troy, no! Troy, pick up a weapon. Troy, get out of here, man. Here, take this thing. I don't want it. Troy? I'm trying to help you out, brother. There we go.
That'll work.
All right. You know what, Troy? I tried. Hey. Fuck. All right. Good. All right. Best of luck, dude. Actually, wait. Can they command you to do shit? Oh, there's a grenade.
I need backup.
Hold on. What's the button to tell them to do shit? Controller help. Move, answer call, survivor commands. Oh, I pressed right. Okay. Scavenge! Scavenge, nigga, scavenge! Troy, you idiot! Alright, Cuddly Bear, you got my back, right? You won't let anything happen to me. Also, let me get off the map. There we go. I gained some pee-pee. Alright, Troy, just stay by, oh, rations. Here you go, dude. Here you go, man.
Very nice.
His eyeball was that.
Yeah, I'm gonna need some too. I guarantee it. Oh, is there motor oil anywhere, by chance? Alright. That's fine. Just don't suck. Alright, Cuddly Bear. Coming with me. Motor oil? Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
Hey!
This'll do.
Oh,
No!
picky motherfucker. Pack pants? No. I think I'm gonna rock this for a while. Was this tactical vest? Maybe it should grow up. Here, tell you what, I'll change it back at some point. I'm keeping the fedora though. Look at that, I'm a big boy. What is this? Tactical helmet? Yeah. Does it count as stolen valor? I'm not military, but... Oh shit, there's a collectible recipe? What am I hearing? My map isn't even on. What's over here? Hunk of meat. There we go. Wait for the sound. Wait for it. Oh, place hat now. Fuck that. God damn it. God damn it. Move. Ay, ay, ay. All right, Nick. I tried to keep you alive, but you just wouldn't fuck off, you know? For that. Sorry. Wait, how does anybody beat this game while all survivors alive anyway? That sounds impossible. Oh shit, what is this? Czar! Fuck yeah, brother. Shotgun and assault rifle. This is quite possibly, from my experience, the best weapon in the fucking game. What the fuck? Oh, shut up, game. That's funny. And then I'll get rid of... I guess this one for now. You want it, dude?
There.
Hate you.
Handle that crap elsewhere.
Fine, I hope you get blown up or something. Help me help you.
Yes! Son of a bitch is a lesson.
Get the Czar. You guys ever listen to Czarface? Pretty good shit. Oh, fuck! Snack. Can't pick up a snack, I'm right here. Get the Czar. It's locked as usual. Wait. Motherfucker, I told you to fuck off. You're the one that won't leave me alone. I can't. Don't off my groove. Like you're punching zombies. I'm trying to kill them. I want to hear it. I don't want to hear it, Troy. Here, pick something up, you motherfucker.
Pick up something. All right.
Oh shit.
Thank you.
Dude, pick something up, please. I'm begging you.
Yeah.
Sweet. Stop hurting Troy. He's captain of the baseball team. Nah, basketball team. That's funny. Troy and Abed in the morning. First of all, fuck Troy. I told him to stay behind at the safe house. Did he listen? No. I'm trying to save you, Troy. You see how awesome I am? Like you do is fucking just stand back and pray it doesn't get you in the face, brother. Troy and I bed in the morning. Let me get the Czar. Let me use this thing. Nope. Bam, you're on fire. Bam, you're on fire. Throw grenades at me, motherfucker. Haha, I saw that. Isn't Ura a range thing? Oh shit. Alright, Troy. Alright, bye, Troy. Well, get the fuck out of the way. they're bobbing and weaving, dude. Here's your classically trained henchman. Got 5 shots left. That's all I need. What is this? What is that? What is that? What is that? Police outfit? Nah. Nah. It's not funny. I've got school. I've got school. Remember that video? It's adorable. Cab. Oh, is that to get the Abacab? Is that the blood code for the inferior Genesis version of Mortal Kombat? I can't breathe. You okay? That noise. Get over here, you sexy bitch. Don't make me do this. What up, Jay? How's work? Don't make me hurt you. Oh shit. All right, I'm gonna hurt you. Bye, Troy. Oh shit. Troy? Or go fucking scavenge. Go home like I told you. Damn, this bitch is like fucking Spider-Man. Hey, Troy, eat. Work is boring. Well, good thing you have my stream. I'll try to be less boring. No promises though. Yeah! I want that one. God damn it. Alright, bye Troy, you're dead. That bitch's dead. It's not bad though. Where that bitch at? You in here yet, ho? Where they at? Dope. Oh shit, there she is. Found her. You bitch. Troy, I will shoot through you if I have to.
Let's see what we got.
Scavenge, you idiot. Where that bitch at? Ah, fuck, I missed. Damn it. Alright, let me get some juice. Uh-oh. Jay, if you're still here, which Dead Risings have you played through? I know you played the first one. I imagine you playing the second one, but probably not finishing it. I don't know why. I just have a gut feeling. Where's the Czar? Oh. Oh, this is the Czar. Where that hoe at? God damn it, bitch. Bro, I'm gonna kill you myself. What's the question? Which Dead Risings have you played? Or finished? I know for sure you beat the first one because I saw your stream or your clip about it.
Size doesn't matter. Big boy.
1 and 2? Nice. Nice. I guess there's worse ways to break a landing.
I finished first.
I did it. All right, Troy, go home. Go home, Roger. I just got a cool gun. Take it. Oh, button. All right, Troy. Actually, hold on. Let me look it up. I don't know how to drop these motherfuckers off. How do you drop off survivors in Dead Rising 3? You cannot drop off. You can escort survivors to specific locations, but they will not stay with you after the escort mission is complete. Some survivors may return to the security room after you no, Dead Rising 3. Similar to Case West, but others remain at their destination. However, you cannot save all survivors, as certain character deaths are required for others. Alright, I guess you just stuck with me. Just uncheck the box to have the bullshit. I tried unchecking it. I think I tried this one and dropped it. It leaned into what crafting wacky weapon stuff, which I didn't really enjoy. They've always been wacky. There's lightsabers in 2. What are you talking about? Let's see. All right, Troy. Good luck, man. I'm gonna try and keep you alive over here. Actually, Troy, I'm gonna get you drunk real quick. Hop in, pimp. Here, eat this. Eat that. Eat that. All right, fucking Troy. I hate him right now. Weird. I don't like creating weird weapons. It's not fun for me. Okay. All right, Troy. We're gonna try this again. I mean, I'd argue they've always been weird, but whatever. All right, how do I uncheck you? Oh. Hey, Blurred. What's up, brother? I did this before. This game's gaslighting me. I fucking did this already. Oh, it gives me his gun. I don't want 2 of them. This looks like the gun con, doesn't it? There was very little crafting in the first. Was there? Do you have this chat box on your Etsy? I didn't make this one. I actually bought this one. Sorry, but I can link it to you if you want. I can. Are you in my Discord? I'll send you an Etsy link. Message me on Discord and I'll find it for you. I think I got it for like $10. It felt fair. I'll just drop this one. Cool. All right, he's gone now. No side missions. Meet Red and Annie at the hotel. Annie, are you okay? Oh. Oh wait, I should eat something. Oh, no, not this R. Be friends on Discord, but not in your Discord. Okay. Then yeah, I'll send it to you. DM me right now so I don't forget, and then I'll send it for you. Spoiled? Does spoiled stuff hurt me? Oh no, it doesn't. It's good. Bottled water? Oh, it does. Don't touch me. Weed. At the job interview, I was called Jose. Fucking lame as hell. I don't know your real name, but if that's not your name, that's pretty fucked up, man. Oh, you're Joe, aren't you? You're like Joseph or something? It's Joe. Yeah, I do remember that. Yeah. Here, how do I get up there? Yeah, that's fucked. You're Joey and I'm Joe. Yeah, no, I remember. That's why it came back to me.
This looks like the right place.
The right place. There we go. At the bucket. Got it. Oh, wrong button. Yes, I am Joey. Looks like a wolf man. Oh, guess I can't go in there. Scraggy escaped. Fuck you, Scraggy. Fuck you, Scraggy. Stupid. I'll give you my limited edition Frank. What does that mean? Is this slang for your penis? Because if so, no thank you. was it? It was, oh, I went the complete wrong way. No. Actually, no, it's the wrong way. Damn, my East Coast showed badly. LOL. I don't even know what. I don't know what the fuck you're talking about, man. But you got hot. Ooh, it's gold too. Damn, I keep pressing the wrong fucking button. Tactical RC gunner, tactical RC and assault rifle. Got an RC right here. Onion rings, nice, nice. I like those. Ooh. Stop pushing that button, Joey. Yeah, my New York niggas call it penis franks. Oh. Oh, I was just using context clues. I didn't realize I was right. I thought I was being mean. What's a frank? Your penis? Yeah, it is. What we call it dicks here, okay? Alright, fuck it. I don't even want it anymore. I don't want it anymore. I'm gonna take fall damage. Aim for the bushes. Wait, was I not supposed to do that? Oh, I should be fine. Being like, hey nigga, eat a bag of franks, you heard? I like it. I've never heard like that before. In fact, I think the only time I've ever heard of a penis even remotely referred to as a frank was in when something about Mary, when he zips his ball sack in his zipper, and his the girl's dad is like, was it the frank of the beans? Knife gloves, hell yeah. But there wasn't any bushes. They were in the middle of the fucking city, dumbass. I love that movie though. A good fucking movie. That's all I remember about that movie. The Frank and the Beans. Frank and Beans, Frank and Beans. Are you talking about the aim for the bushes part in the other guys? That movie's a fucking masterpiece. Right here, is it under me? Is it underground? Is it above ground? Where the fuck is it? I think it's above me somehow. How do I get up there? Suit! Can I grab the ledge? Suit! No. How do I get up there? Oh, I know how. Whee! Hey, yo, girl, what up? First time I met an autistic person was that Ben Stiller movie. Wait. Are you talking about in the movie or in person? Let me check them digits. Alright, let me know if that works, Jay. Oh, shit. I didn't mean to do that. Jay, you haven't performed your signature move yet. You gotta ask the question. The movie. By digits, I mean nudes. Nah, I just knew Ben. We go way back. It'd be kind of cool if he did.
You still think the government came in here to save us, Nick?
I've seen it with my own eyes. The woman from the TV, Hemlock's head of security, she's killing survivors. Why are they doing this?
At least justice will be served when that gets out and people see what happened here.
Justice? Justice isn't going to bring Angel back. It's not going to bring any of us back.
Angel, no.
That's why. Look at her, Red. She was one of the family. We don't stop fighting if it's for family.
But digits, he means you, Frank.
Hey, I'm sorry.
No.
It's just really hard to know who you can trust. I'm gonna go meet with my contacts. I'm gonna go get that fuel for you, but I need you to do me a favor. Meet me at the tower in a couple of hours, okay?
Or beans.
I'll hook you up with the fuel, and then we'll all get out of this hellhole together.
More of a tostada guy. I don't know where I was going with that.
Come on.
Frank Beans. What would like to be the equivalent here?
Catch you later, bro.
Just one bean. Play nice. Get to see both. Gross. You like smashed balls? Dick pics are outdated. I just like I like ball pics. Sorry, I didn't see you say hey earlier. Hello, Jay. Hello, Jay. You're saying work's boring tonight? Does anything ever like cool ever happen? Or is it just guaranteed to be like is there ever a thing that happens? Anything? I'm more of a back of the kneecap guy. And there's always that one weirdo. I like feet. Alright, I got another. Yeah! The blueprints. The job sucks when things happen because I have to deal with them. So what kind of things happen? Do motherfuckers like try shit? That's what I'm curious about. The nussy? Robot bear and gasoline canister. Is there a robot bear anywhere? Oh, there is.
Yo, some business lady out by the law.
What's wrong with feet, dog?
Looks desperate and rich.
I don't judge. Nothing major. How much people try to sneak into a parking garage sometimes. That sounds annoying. Ooh, that's actually kind of a good gun. I think I underestimated you. Right, hold on, let me just craft it for the sake of it, though. Pick up you. And I'm gonna pick up you. And I'm gonna fuse you with you.
Yes.
And then I do need a melee weapon. Sorry, gun. I got plenty of you, and these are better. I need food. No, I'll be fine. I don't need food. Investigate law offices of J.G. Wentworth. 877 cash now. My money. I need it now, bitch. I'll just eat while I'm here. I did almost die earlier. If homegirl or homie can grip it with their index toe and thumb, we good to go. Love that game. What? What? Fuck off! Bro, I freaked the fuck out. Yeah, it's pretty loud. I actually had to adjust the audio on my end because I would get like every time I heard it. I would get a little jump scare.
Hey, saw some desperate looking dude checking out the buffet place in England. Hungry?
A little bit, actually. I could eat. Can I break the window and just leave? No. Who persona'd me? That was probably Jay. I think it was Jay. For some reason, the chat box in my... Yeah, it was Jay. In my OBS isn't really working right now for some reason, but I don't feel like canceling stream to fix it, so... Oh shit! I beat Philip Frame today. 3 down, 2 to go. So you did beat it? Fuck, I missed it. Can I go through those? Probably not. Yeah. Oh yeah, dude. So wait, can you be a real homie and teach me how to do that shit? Are you affiliated? You are affiliated, right? Then yeah. I use, so Jay recommends a new bot called Firebot, and that lets you do like channel point redeems and stuff. I use one called Mix It Up, but I'm tempted to switch around. But yeah, I have a few days off next week. I'll teach you if Angel sends me a nude. I'll teach you and she doesn't have to send you a nude. Combine the dildo with a golf club. Hey, what up, Cash Cow? How you doing, man? And Devil's here. Taking my damn head. My wife sells content. I can hook you up, Jay. That's actually pretty funny. Where's the survivor? I need a hero. Hold on out for a hero at the end of the night. What up, Dead Wolf? What up, Cash Cow? How you bitches doing tonight? Happy Friday. Sweet. Are you doing all right? Where'd my weapon go? Alright, that worked out. Alright, peace. Nope, not even close, Jay. Wait, hold on. I feel her walls cracking down any day now. Imagine pimping my wife for Twitch perks. It's pretty funny. Oh. Got him. Nom 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 nom. Bye. Actually, wait, I got points I haven't spent yet. Alright, let's see. Let me get some PP. Female survivor damage, +2 posse size. Yeah, I can have 3 posses? Dead Wolf and I are gonna stream Lords of the Fallen. Maybe we can co-op a bit. Oh, I think he's lurking, but if he's here, yeah, Trevor, Jay wants to co-op stream Lords of the Fallen with you. A Doublade appeared. Good night, hiking in the morning. All right, hell yeah, dude. Hey, Dead Wolf and I are gonna watch some werewolf movies tomorrow if you're down. If you didn't forget, that fucker, you were supposed to come to Final Destination. Good night, dude. Skills enable skill moves. Book effect. Yeah, as fuck. Which werewolf movies? These are Joey and Dead Wolf movies, just so you know. We saw the trailer for Werewolves with Frank Grillo. We know it's gonna be bad, okay? I don't want to hear it. But it looks dumb fun. The first line of the trailer is "Fuck me." I was like, yes. And then we're gonna watch the new Wolfman. Yeah. Yeah, I got more PP, guys. Watch good movies. We're watching good movies. Good subjective. Oh shit, I didn't mean to drop the barricade. Sorry. Nice, I caught the Pokemon.
Do you need some help?
I seriously doubt you can comprehend the magnitude of my problems.
I'm not sure you could have problems worse than this.
This was an opportunity. Wasted. Like that my law firm's briefcase. It's worth millions. To the highest bidder.
Alright, lady. Spit it out. Oh, nice, you got a gun.
An opportunity? Is that what you see when you look at this?
Which Max Payne do you think can say nigga, and why is it Mark Wahlberg Max Payne? Well, if I'm correct, if I'm not mistaken, when he was younger, he hurled slurs at a little black girl, and he beat the shit out of a Vietnamese dude. So I don't think he was saying nigga. Oh, he probably hit with the hard R, and that's why. If you look it up, he had a pretty shitty past.
Know that I'm a very dangerous woman when I'm crossed.
Also, fuck that movie. I hate that fucking movie.
My firm's briefcase, and I'll mutually benefit.
What, you gonna take me to court or something? Okay, I'll find it.
Retrieve Carrie's briefcase. I'm on the case. Hey, no pun intended. I actually like that one though. Stupid, but it worked out. Listen, brother, if I remember correct, the little girl had it coming. She wasn't vibing with the Funky Bunch. Yeah. That'll do it. She wasn't feeling those good vibrations. Uh-oh. Uh-oh. Old Unc Ruckus? Who the fuck is Old Unc? Wait, what the fuck's happening? Wait, hold on. Oh, I think somebody's trying to join me. No. I don't, hold on. Playstyle, single player. Oops. There we go. Uncle Ruckus, fuck off. Fuck, I didn't mean to do that. I want it to be single player. He said, come on, dance. And she didn't do that shit. Hop on! Ah! Bleh. Stream's okay? Yeah, stream's okay. That's fine. Where's the motorcycle?
Oh my god.
Oh, excuse me. Ah! Whee! There was a whole football player right there. Or a football team. Stupid. Here you go, bitch.
I hope this is the briefcase you're looking for.
Fine. Yes! Perhaps I misjudged you. Did she give you any trouble?
She was a zombie.
Well, and justice has been served.
Damn, dude.
All right.
They tackle
Get outta
still?
here.
All right. Now what? Let me find the assault rifle so I can make another one of the doohickeys. But also, all right. Follow me. Oh, did the safe house right here, girl? Come here. The old. Oh, wait, you over here this way. All right. All right, I think this way, girl. I forgot her name. What is it? Carrie. Okay, come here, Carrie. Come here, Carrie. Carrie, no! Damn, Carrie's a badass. All right, Carrie. At some point, you're gonna have to follow me. All right, good shit. She's coming. Oh, Lachi coming. All right, Carrie. I don't want you to die.
Okay.
Oh, nice. She's not checked. So you're in a safe house now. Does this mean you're gonna fuck off? No, she's following me. Your ship. What does that one do? Increase the damage inflicted by survivors. That's actually not bad, but I just want more PP. If I do this. Oh. Okay, alright. She's unequipped now. Alright, bye, Carrie. I just don't want you to follow the same fate that everybody else has. That's fucking not leave me alone. Why is this? My car? Here's 1 second. Alright, guys, I'm gonna go pee-pee real quick. Speaking of pee-pee, I'm gonna go pee-pee. Be right back. I'm wrong button. Why is my... Oh, wrong one. Ignore this. I hit the wrong button. There we go.
So much, I let him date my sisters. But only Cyber. But he's taken, so he can't. Well, you know, after.
Okay, alright. Yeah, right. Hello, there got my face. Crumpets. These are scones.
How many are there?
Well, I'm American. Biscuits!
Check your DMs. Sending me. Oh my god, you're wearing a hoodie. That's my lucky hoodie. Overnight. That looks cool. Wanna watch it with me awkwardly till the comedy comes in? No, I'll probably have my penis in my hand. Thanks for very often though. Fuck was not on your side tonight? No, it was not. Neither was skill. It fucking sucked today. Who's live? We got Lil B Montana playing Silent Hill 2. We got Lil Lotus playing Pummel Party. You got Pig Madison playing Quiet Pace. We got Super Sleepy playing GTA 3.
Don't touch me. Oh fuck. What? What? Don't look at me. Don't look at me. You saw nothing. I meant to do that. Claire, run.
My snap fell and scared me. Alright. And we back.
This well guy.
We out here. Oh yeah, Southern Buffet. All you can eat? Oh, there's a psychopath. Let's do Lesser Evils first. Running out of time. Ah! Oh, not a spoiled apple. Car. Hell yeah. Man, the PP gain, I actually feel that. It's actually really nice. I feel the PP. I get more big PP. Not that car. That car's about to explode. Fucker. Uh-oh.
That was a workout.
Wrong button. Hold on. Damn it. Can I go through that? Right there. Yep. Yup. Shit, nigga, shit. What's up, dude? Big D? Me too, brother.
Hey, you need a hand?
Shit, bro. I don't know. What you got that I need?
I know a thing or two about engines.
This
For real, for real?
shit could be fixed if you a voodoo mix a miracle.
Voodoo, you voodoo, bitch! He kind of looks like,
Find me a ride.
Zombie? He had like a dumb name, didn't he? In, Dead Island?
If you get me to my path, Big D gonna take care of it.
Bring Big D to a combo vehicle? Let me see what do I have. I could do sedan and a muscle car, steamroller and a sedan, motorcycle, sports bike, motorcycle, steamroller. Okay, so just 2 vehicles. Fuck off, bitch. Ooh. All right. What is this? Oh, that's a challenge thing. Bring him a combo vehicle. What was the junk truck one? I like the junk car. It's a muscle and sedan. Okay, I could do that. Also, wait. Yeah, I know exactly what to do. You know what to do, Rico. Let me actually mark that. I'll just build one. Bring it to him. Wrong button. Yeah, that looks like Johnny Bravo. That big Ben over there looks like Johnny Bravo. Leave me alone. I don't want trouble.
Oh, God.
I don't have any melee weapons with me. We get. Fuck, that was an accident, but cool.
Sweet Jesus.
Sweet baby Jesus. There we go. Junk car. Oh shit. See if we have anything cool in here. Do we have any I think a pretzel. No. What's up here? Oh, it was the hammer and then what, motor oil? What was it? Battery. I have one left, just throw it. Whee!
Rock on.
tight. All right. This is my favorite one so far of the combo weapons or combo. Oh shit! Can I not squeeze in there? Oh fuck! I'm stuck. Step bro. Turn it around. Also, there's a collectible somewhere. In here? Also, fuck! It's dark. Is it under? Oh, it's up here, isn't it? Oh, it is. Damn it. Nah, it's fine. I don't feel like I'm not gonna complete this game. I'll finish it, but I'm not gonna complete it. I'm supposed to be playing Resident Evil anyway. Shit, brother.
Bling, bling, bro. Okay, let's go.
Where we going? Where we going, lad? Travel to Big D's pad. All right. Explore while he gets fuel. Meet. Wait, did I do it? How do? Can I cut through there? All right, Big D, we're going on foot. Coming. Just say Big D. Problem, pimp. The collectible on the roof again. Yeah, I think so. Oh, what the fuck, dude?
What the hell are you playing?
Go. Please just let me go.
Shut up, ho. See this here, bitch? You wear my face.
Big D, Big D, Big D.
Oh, shit. See? All the other bitches, they ran. And I thought she was different until she tried running too.
What did you bring me in here for?
Shit, bro. You pussing out on me? Punish her. Make her suffer. When she stops breathing, I'll know I can trust your ass.
It's a good deal to me.
Don't do it, please. I didn't mean to run. I was just scared.
Look, I don't want any trouble. I think you misjudged me.
We'll see. Come on, brother. Do it.
All right. Sorry.
You dumb piece of shit. You can't even run a end your life.
All right, Big D, you piece of shit. Hey, Candy. Hey, girl. How you doing?
You okay? Free to do what you want now. I wouldn't have done that to you.
Honey, all I was trying to do was get by.
They're coming to play a couple games for a bet, Shouty. All right. Hi and bye. Thank you for the lurk.
Come with me. Let's get out of here.
I don't know if I'll be much use, but there's shit all left here for me but bad memories.
Shit. Massager. Whippets. Oh, that's whipped cream. Yeah. And then vodka. Man, you guys are fucking partying in here. Big D's gun. Big D, you're a fucking asshole. All right, girl. Just you and me now. There's a gruesome death somewhere. Oh. You.
This is so wrong. Must be something right here.
I'm all over it.
Bitch, that's what you get? Oh my god. Alright, and we're leaving. And we are leaving. What you can do with all that junk? All that junk inside that trunk. I'm gonna get you drunk. Oh fuck, bitch. Where you at, ho? I've been pimp. What are you doing? Alright. And skedaddle. Nearest safe house is on the way. Fuck. Oh yeah, I'm gonna take you over here, okay, girl? Wrong button. Drop you off because you will die, and then yeah. Oh shit. Where? Okay. I have like the worst sense of direction. I get more PP. Ooh, 4 days? What chapter am I on? Begin. Man, I have 7 more. I would like PP gain, but yeah, I'll probably just focus on that for now. And yep. Yep. Oh, shit. Uh-oh. Uh-oh. I'm trying to get this hoe home safe, you know? All right, Candy. Candy, no! Candy. Come on. Candy. All right, well. All right, bye, Candy. Oof. All right, let's go kill ourselves a psychopath. Oh, all right, calm down. Cuddly bear, hell yeah, brother. Just you and me, Cuddly bear. Cuddly bear, no! All right, wish me luck, everybody.
Hey. There's food in here, man. Why so quiet? Zombies? Worse.
You didn't see that green ass fucking thing on the floor, dude?
Hey! Who the hell is that?
Worse. My wife. Am I right, fellas? Oh god. Oh no. Boy, I tell you what, living in Vegas, you see a lot of this.
There's plenty in here for everyone.
One of my favorite psychos. This bitch.
Look at me.
Look at her.
You know what? I'm tired.
You ever been to Heart Attack Grill? Or Heart Attack, Heart Attack Grill? What are the places? Boom.
Hungry.
Boom.
Not like you can eat all of it.
Hey! Just watch.
If you go to the fucking buffet at the M, boom. I refuse to eat there. Oh my gosh, she's like not even chewing. She's like, ow, ow. It's like despawning food.
Hey, stop it! I'm starving!
Get away from me!
Oh my god. No! God damn.
You skinny dudes! Just think you can take whatever the hell you want, don't you? World on a platter.
Man.
This lady, he was just hungry.
So am I, asshole!
I think you've had plenty
Asshole. Dude, her eyes are going this way. She's doing the Pennywise. Got the Pennywise eyes. Yeah. Fat bitch. Oh my god, she's actually terrifying though. Just get away from me! Oh my god! Holy shit! Darlene. Dude, she's like puking everywhere. Ah! Jesus Christ, Darlene. Wait, where'd you go? What the fuck? Ah! This is disgusting. Bitch. I think you're physically incapable of being hungry. Oh! Oh man, she's fucking doing donuts over there? No pun intended. Oh! God damn. God damn! That's a huge bush! Where you going, you fat piece of shit? Where'd you go? Is she eating for health? No, you've had enough. You've had enough, Darlene. Oh my god, I keep slipping on your fucking puke. Oh shit. No, I missed it. Oh no. I slipped in your fucking vomit, you asshole. Can I do it now? Or was that it? Oh. Man, I wanted to fucking Y and B her ass. Dude, that was like fun to like, you know, like drum on it. That's a drum worthy belly. Digestion. You've been done digesting, girl. Stop. This is the kind of bitch that'll be like, it's genetics. It's fucking gross. I got a key. This bitch had the key. Is it or just outside? This is the kitchen, okay. Right? Is that it? Where's the locked door? No, I don't want to go outside. I want to see where that leads. Oh, over here. No, wait, right? Hold on. First of all, let me heal. Eat some pizza. Mmm. Chicken. Dude, how wants a barbecue chicken right now? That sounds fucking amazing. I got the buffet key. Buffet kitchen key. That's what I said, right? There's nothing. Oh my god, if I slip in this woman's vomit one more time. That was a fun fight. Thank god for that weapon. Any recipes or nothing back here? Man, when I see a key like that, I'm just like, I get excited. I'm like, ooh, Alright. Are we out here? Yeah. Hey, Bumblebee, I'm sorry. Oh shit, what the fuck? Ah, don't do that. I'll stop by the car shop. I want the a junk car. Right, is it this way? Eh, no. Vicky? You go ahead, Vicky. I got you, girl. Alright, Vicky. Alright, cool. Yeah, fuck off, Vicky. I don't want to drop you off anymore. I'm tired of babysitting you guys. Getting you killed because I suck in this game. Right, this way, and then... No, I can go through the barricade. Can I? I keep reading it's nighttime. You guys are like buttheads right now. actually. Oh shit. Toy robot. Ooh, toy bear, hell yeah. It's toy bear, and then how do I make Freedom bear is awesome. Large machine gun. What else? What else can I make? There was other shit. There was the toy bomb, which kind of, it's all right. Guess that's it. All she wrote for the bears. Bears. You got a scary motherfucker out there. Hold on, where the fuck? Okay. Right? Is it camera or is it direction of me? It's camera. Okay. So I'm just an idiot. I thought it was where he was facing. You know what I mean? What else do I got for combined? I got bike, junk car. Ah, motherfucker! I was doing shit. All right, now quickest way out of here is through the alley over here. Oh. God damn it. Oh, okay. We're good. False alarm. Wait, for me? Wait, are you attacking me? Jeremy, I will fuck you up. Oh, you're fine, Jeremy. Right? Yeah. Bye, junk truck. I'll miss you. Alright. In here? Oh shit, there's survivors over there. A motherfucking chainsaw. What? Oh wait, it's chainsaw and Bowie knife? Is that the cool one? It was like mini chainsaw or something, right? Am I tripping? Did I pass it already? Meat cleaver. We got one? Can I? Hmm. I don't think so. I'll hold on to it until then. Oh shit, they're breaking in. It's a lovely sound. Meat cleaver. I guess not. There's a sledgehammer. If there's a battery out here, I'll do some cool shit, but I think... Yeah. Alright, guys. It's an annoying sound. Also, I went the wrong way. Oh, there's something in here. I'm not even looking at the minimap as much as I should be. It's a katana sword, which will probably get me further than... Oh, let me... No, I'll hold on to the shotgun for now. Let me drop the handgun. Wait, combo? What? Oh! Oh, yeah. I've been looking for a meat cleaver. No, I do. Oh, it's the mansion. I'll make it. I'll go this way. Right? No. I'll go this way. Alright, I'll cut through. I'll come back. I'll go around. There it is. Yeah, I should probably upgrade my agility. Chat. Groovin! What's good, man? How you doing, dude? I liked that thing you showed me. It was really cool. Annie, you okay? Chapter 4, bitch. Over the hump. Nice. New attributes and new blueprints. Napalm bomb. Nade and propane. New device. Yeah, it was really cool. How's your night going, dude?
Hey, don't scare me like that. Red's not back yet.
Too bad.
Yeah.
Bingo!
Oh shit! Oh, that guy.
Gary?
I told him where I was. I trusted you, asshole.
Oh, calm down, lady. It's not his fault. I figured you didn't have the balls to follow through, so I followed you. Now, you're the broad my boss is looking for. You're coming with me.
Oh shit. Policia! Damn.
Hey, relax. What happened here? Where are they?
Special ops raid. You any idea where they might be?
They've been working on a makeshift prison camp for the past couple of days, man. Over in the old taxi.
I got dialed in as well as I can. It looked great from what he had.
Did you get the fuel?
Good shit, bro.
Family first, Nick. Dang, we gotta go. Matter of fact, you know what? I'm gonna go get back up. There's an old used car lot across the street from the prison camp. Meet me on the office rooftop. We'll devise a plan there.
Yeah. Alright, let's see what we got. Meat cleaver? There's a sledgehammer. There is a... Ooh, I think this might count. Let me pick up you. And then I'll drop you for now. Pick up you, because I think I can combine you. Yeah, it tracks pretty well. It looked really accurate. Oh, fuck. Maybe not. What else we got? We got a handgun. Is it? Right, shield and the baton. That actually does sound kind of dope. Alright, I'll hold on to... Fuck.
Bud, there's a guy crying over a pool full of zombies by the landslide in Sunset. That is all. Later.
You're about to break. I'm about to break. I'll drop the flashbang. Yeah, the katana over here. This is about to blow, but yeah, it's fine. Then what else can I make? Hold on. Hold up. Here's some sword shit. Broadsword and motor oil. Oh, fuck yeah. Wait, this isn't a broadsword though. So let me... Let me go to this one, because I think this counts. Axe, blunt, chemical... Blade? I think that counts. Wrong button. Yes! Guys, this game slaps. Zombie Raker? Oh, that is new. Katana sword and leaf. Well, I lost the katana. Leaf rake. Crowbar. Let me save. And then let me investigate the pool, I guess. And I'm awarded PP. And be on the lookout for a meat cleaver, everyone, okay? Be like, yo, there it is. The hammer and a chainsaw. What? I should leave this sledgehammer because it's about to break. And I'll just hold on to it until I find a battery. I'll use this in the meantime. Where do I go? Oh, shotgun. Oh, actually, this might work for something else too. Hold on. Aw, shit, guys. Aw, shit. Aw, shit.
Right on.
Tight. And then, fucking bear. Because I think I got the propane tank over here. It's perfect, everyone.
Yo, looks like a guy got himself coitus interrupticid over at Annie's Triple X in Almeida.
Lame. No? Oh. Alright, well, I'll pick up the bear. Wait, was that knife? Bowie knife? Oh, wait. Will you work? The chainsaw? No. Hold on. Mechanical. Pole arm, thrown, pushable, miscellaneous. Maybe miscellaneous. No. Alright, whatever. I wasted the point. It's fine, everyone. Okay?
Hello, my name is Julie Bear.
Shut up, bear. Surgical saw. Flaming sword and... Nope, nope. Stop it. Sledgehammer. Zombrex. Also, you know what there is? There's also a fucking donut, which I'm gonna go get it. I'll be right back.
Our brothers. Sorry, the breaking news to you this way. But hey, if you need anything, okay, I'll be here for you. Okay. We're gonna get through this. All right. Whatever you need, babe. Whatever you need. He looked pretty dead. Yeah. The guy was perfect, okay? It's okay. You need a shoulder to cry.
I got a device after the end of my stream.
Mine's always open.
Oh yeah, dude. It looks really cool. Yeah. Which one's closer? Oh, there's another maniac. Fuck. Alright, I'll do this one first. I love you too. What are you up to now, Grubin? How's your night going? Just relaxing? Firefighter boots. Boxing shorts. Cereal. Bucket. Move it. Move, move, move. How far is it? It's not that far, but I will take a car. It's nighttime and it's scary. Still calibrating some stuff. Oh, I'm sure it'll take a while to get that all dialed in, but from what you showed me, it looks pretty solid, man. Oh shit. It's up there, isn't it? Yeah, I fucked up. It's trying to do that Tobey Maguire video where it's like, out of the way, asshole! You're blocking my car! You know the one? Alright, what's up, dude? How you doing?
What the hell is going on here? Oh my god, you're just in time. They're gonna die if I don't get them some food. You're feeding them? Give them a chance and they'll rip you to pieces. They're hungry, and they're my family. I mean, what if they find a cure when this is over? I can't just leave them.
Sure you can.
Look, it's great that you still got hope and you love your family, but is this really helping? What else am I supposed to do? Let them...
Not fucking this. Hey, give me your meat cleaver.
They need fresh meat, but only a little. Oh my God.
Bring him meat? Okay. I got some meat for you right here. Fucking shotgun. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Actually, I think this will actually remember. I'm gonna go get just some meat, brother. Hatchet, chainsaw. What? Oh, there's a collectible right here. Oh, I see it. It's right there. How do I get it? How do I get up there? Yeah. Big brain. I think I just need to just beat the fuck out of some zombies with a bladed weapon. I think we're good. I think we're Gucci. That meat? That is motor oil. Oh, and a broadsword. Sick. Let's work. I think this will work. Let's do it. Bring it out, motherfucker! Uncle meat. Is this what you want? This is what you want. This it, dude?
My mom doesn't look so good. Please do this. Please.
Yeah, I got some meat, dude.
I can't let them down.
What, do I throw it at her? What do you want from me?
As good as doom, right? But a cure later. That might help.
Hold on, I'm gonna Google it. I don't think I'm doing this right. Like, the only meat I know of in this game is that meat. I'm bringing it to him. Bring Jason meat. Dead Rising 3. Brought a hunk of meat, but it didn't work. What do you do? Also, should be a steak in one of the nearby houses. I used a ham and that worked. I also read some people use something else. Try any food you come across. Oh, that makes a lot more sense than what I was trying to do. Well, it's literally called a hunk of meat, you know? You'd think. Uh-oh. I fuck up. Uh-oh. Uh-oh. Block. Does the game save checkpoints? Because I think I just fucked it up. Fuck. I fucked up. Alright, Joe, I'll talk to you later. I'm being summoned. Alright, enjoy the crew. I have to reload the game. I killed it. I fucked up. Peace out, though. Thanks for hanging out. Where did you go? Oh, oops. That's where I went. I have to restart. I have to reload it. I fucked up by tabbing out. That's not the first time this happened either. Ooh, control delete. Damn it, game. I hope it's saved. If not, it's okay. I finished the chapter. Where's the task manager? Can I speak to your task manager? There you go. Oh, this is like fucked up. Good job, Capcom. I mean, it's low-key my fault too. Here's the thing. I'm gonna try this. I'm gonna go like tab it over here. And task manager. Boom, gotcha. End task. God damn it. It was like hard. Good job, dumbass. Thank you. Oh yeah. How's your neck going, dude? What are you up to? Playing anything? Just chillaxing? I might have to do everything after that last like save, but it's okay. It wasn't that far. Is it annoying? A little bit, but it's my fault. Get to the car lot rooftop? I think that's it. Marinating beef for dinner tomorrow? Taking that off for streaming? Oh, okay. That sounds good though, dude. They see at the pool? Yep, I'm right here. That's not so bad. Also, let me see if I got some meat on the way. I don't think beer's meat. Yeah, there's motor oil, the flame sword, ice grenade, Bowie knife. There was something up here that I was able to use. I still haven't had dinner. Oh dang, dude, you gotta fix that. Damn, bro. It's 11 p.m. Yeah, it's 11:30 for me. Same, kinda. Yeah, you should eat.
Like a guy got himself coitus interrupticid over at Annie's Triple X in Almuda.
Yeah. Oh. Let me save again too in case I fuck up. Joey. Hey, it happens, groovin'. It be happening. Speaking of happening, I don't know. Really good bear claw though. Pump the poo. Hobie. You've got some meat now. Did you read the other message? When did you send it?
How are you?
A minute ago? No, I didn't know. To meat. Do you like potato salad? I do actually. I'll go as far as to say I love a good potato salad. I'm missing something good because I've had some bland potato salad, but potato salad is great. Small chat issues. Wait, what? Oh, I think I meant my DMs. I'm sorry, dude. It's not small chat. It's just me not looking over. Between my phone's IR kit and the new device, I'm entirely being tracked by IR. That's really cool. Oh wait, it's over there though. Oh shit. I did it again. I did the exact same thing last time. It's not a hunk of meat. I need to find like actual like food. Is that food? What is that? What is that? Oh, it's just a snack. Let me up. Oh my god. Oh my god. Oh my god. Fuck back.
Okay, calm down.
That's getting a little spicy in there, guys. Can I open this? No. Can I break in? Shopping valuables. Need meat. Like I need to go like a restaurant or something. But nothing's labeled here. What is that? What is that? Jugs? Oh, the strip club? I think I have a different kind of meat there. For 2 seconds, you open your phone and check your DMs. Oh! No!
You're okay.
Potato salad. All right, give me a second. Let me not get distracted. Let me find some meat, and then I promise I'll look at my DMs. I think there's, yeah, it's in here. Meat, barbecue ribs, baby. Oh shit. Actually, I need to eat too myself. Alright, now what can I drop? This was like almost dead, wasn't it? Yeah, it is. I'll just... Alright, I found meat. Look at my phone. Don't shoot. Don't shoot. Okay? Oh shit, I have a text reply too. Alright. Ending Discord. Taking a bite of my bear claw.
Salad for the cookout.
That does look pretty good. I was waiting for it though.
Potato salad for the cookout.
Like I thought it was gonna be a meme for a second, like they'll drop raisins in there or something. Those are pretty good though. I fucks with it. Oh Jesus. No, I don't play when it comes to potato salad. Good, I appreciate that. What is that? Garden though? This is, oh yeah, this is garden though. Can't make it. Come on, fuckers. One handful of proof that I'm black. One of the handfuls of proof. One of the handful of proofs that I'm black. I was gonna make a joke. I think the grammar of that sentence also proves.
Oh, come on! Come on, Nick! Run!
I say, what's your favorite food, DJ?
Run, damn it!
Yeah, grammar's one of them. I didn't want to do it, but I was like, yeah. Oh yeah, I can make another one, but let me give him fucking. I'll make another one on the way back. See, I've heard. Here's the thing. I did just save. I do have to alt tab to scroll in OBS. And hopefully I didn't fuck it up again. Okay. Cool. Are we good? Are we good, Capcom? You're gonna fuck me again?
What the hell is going on here? Oh my god, you're just in time. They're gonna die if I don't get them some food. You're feeding them? Give them a chance and they'll rip you to pieces. They're hungry. And they're
It changes, but right now it's ribs. I love wings too. Nice, that's pretty good.
I can't just leave them.
I have a lot of favorite foods. Right now it's probably sushi.
It's great that you still got hope and you love your family, but
I also like just a good steak.
what else am I supposed to do? Let them die?
Tacos.
Listen, they need fresh meat, but only a little.
I've also like coochie, but that's a given. Well, coochie's not a food though. You can eat it. But it does not fit the criteria of an answer in this case. I award you no points, TJ.
I can't let them down.
Oh, that the hold the meat? I got meat right here, bitch. There you go.
Thank you. Mom, see? I'm not a disappointment. I got you what you needed.
It doesn't satisfy hunger. Yeah. You can't subsist off coochie, unfortunately. At some point, you'll still starve to death. It might prolong a little bit, you know, but I see what you mean. Yeah. What the fuck is going on with my... How about hoochie? I don't think... I mean, you could probably eat a hoochie. What the fuck, controller? And apparently it can get throat cancer. It's probably worth the risk. Everything can give you cancer. Might as well enjoy your way out, you know? You feel me? Is it really? Pretty fucked up. Like God's cruel jokes. A hookah? Now I have a fucking... another psychopath to take down. Let's do it. If Joey had a label, it would be California Prop 30 or 65. Damn, I can't read either. What does that mean? I don't know what you're trying. I don't know what you're saying. That's black too. More light skinned territory, but yee. Well, I am a light skinned black man, and I do have a hookah. Look it up. Not right now. I remember hearing about prop stuff, like some things like anti-gay or something. The other one's like weed or something. I don't know. Where the fuck do I go? How do I get out of here? Yeah. Oh, this might work, actually. I'll just take that all the way down and then... Yeah. Oop. hear screaming. There's probably like a psychopath or something trying to kill me. Ooh, let me get the cool little double decker over here. The fuck? Oh. This cute thing. It's a street cleaner. No, that's too slow. What about this? You look like you might be cool. Does it shoot something? Does it shoot like shirts? Oh, does it shoot stuff? Ooh. Legally, you need to let people know. Wait. I bet you have something in your place that has Prop 65 on it. I don't know what that means. Legally, you need to let people know. Well, legally, you gotta tell me what that means. If it's about weed, weed's legal here. They go read up. I'm playing games. I can't read right now. I can barely read chat. Oh nice, I killed 10,000 zombies. Look at that, I read that. I read the achievement. How the fuck do I get out of here again? Oh, it's over there. I do this every time. If Joey knew how to read, it would be angry right now. Nice, I know that. I get that reference.
Damn it, get off! Get them off me!
I got you, brother. And you got super zombies on you. Alright. Fuck off. I'm gonna kill a psychopath. You don't want no part of this, do we? Okay, good. I literally explained it to you in the chat, you just didn't read it. Wait, oh. Oh, read up. It's about letting people know what is contaminated and what can cause you cancer. Oh! Oh! As per, like, California state, whatever, this product contains chemicals that have not been known to cause cancer and birth defects. That shit, right? Oh shit, shared limit. Hey, oh shit, it's Bo. Hey, what up, Bo? How you doing? Have you played this before? What? Bo? Bo? You have to do that. Thank you, man. How's your night going, dude? I hope you're having like just the best possible night ever. Okay, am I? Where do I go? Oh, okay. How you doing, dude? Bruh, come on. Yeah, man, just got home. Nice, were you working? Going the right way? Yeah, I'm going the right way. Bro, that's crazy. I had the same notification. That's funny, because you bought it from me. Which, thanks again. Oh, fuck, I never did your Kingdom Hearts thing. I'm sorry. I got distracted. My cat just brushed my leg and scared the shit out of me. Yeah, you did. Yeah, I did. That the money put aside too. Well, no worries about it. I'll get to it at some point, hopefully soon, and then I'll just make a listing and I'll give you a hella discount. Oh shit, that was close. Ah! Yeah, playing records in Brooklyn. Oh, nice. I keep forgetting you're in New York, but you know, life. Yeah. No, don't even worry about that. Now I'm home with a freshly made sandwich, walking this motherfucker shattered limit, annihilate some fucking zombies. Life is good. Well, Bo, I don't have a sandwich, but I do have a bear claw that's almost done, and I have some water. So cheers to you, brother. Bo, tell Shattered about telling people to eat a Frank. He doesn't believe me. No, it's not that I don't believe you. It's just we don't say that here. Hold on, let me do some shoutouts real quick. It's here. We got. First of all, she was first, so she gets. Hey guys, if you guys aren't following Angel, she's gonna start streaming again soon. She took like a little break, but she's awesome. She's hilarious. She does cosplays. Like she was playing Silent Hill 2 dressed as Maria. That's based.
Kill it!
Oh, and most importantly,
Got the pouch.
she fixed her filter, so she doesn't peak. She doesn't peak like she used to. She has a compressor now. But she's awesome. Get this girl affiliated, guys.
Towards the flower, away from the tree.
Also got literally my best friend, Dead Wolf, up in this bitch. We're hanging out tomorrow, legend says, unless he bails again.
Big boy.
Plays lots of Monster Hunter. He does a lot of cosplay. Talented artist, good dude. Yeah, Monster Hunter, like Repo and stuff like that. Gets into Fortnite if that's your thing. But bunch of single player games. He's a good dude. Just followed her. Thanks, DJ.
Bro, just one tapped me.
Gonna get that affiliate. Same. Nice. Yeah, no, she's actually a great streamer. I've been down her ass. I'm just like, fucking stream this week, and she gets sick. I was like, damn it. You know what I mean? It happens, but she'll get there. I'm just going down the list. We got fucking Bo up in this bitch. Here's the thing. Like I said, I mean it when I say Bo's one of my favorite streamers. He does lots of horror games, specifically Japanese horror lately, and he's a big Souls-like guy. Also, just one of the friendliest, most inviting streams I've ever been a part of. Great dude. Best banter in the business, I'm telling you.
Okay, so that the butt attack. This guy has the butt attack. He's the answer to my strat. Punish the ass. This guy's like, nope, not this time. He's the answer to punish the ass. But look, I just managed to punish the ass. It's like the alchemist saw that I was punishing the ass of all their creations, so they deliberately created one where the main attack comes from the ass. So if you're trying to punish the ass can attack back. That's what this is.
Can't wait to be friends with Joey like y'all.
The alchemists are brilliant.
We can be friends.
They're evolving
punch the ass.
their creations.
Yeah, we can be friends. We're friends now. Fist bump. All right, cool. Official. I dub thee a friend. And then we also got the Groovin' Gamer up in this bitch. Funny dude, very knowledgeable about Zelda.
Chris Hansen wants to know your location.
Yeah, I'd say he's a VTuber, PNG tuber, VTuber now. Lots of Zelda, big Zelda fan. That was the first game I streamed. Old clip there. I think the first time I started watching a stream, it might have been Lies of P. Was that what that was? I feel bad sometimes. I don't want to bother you. Ah, dude, you're fine. I get bothered all the time. Join the club. No, you don't bother me. I do get like messages, but I get to it, you know? So don't feel bad. You're in line. I do it first come, first serve as a message basis. So I don't want everything. I'm blocking you. I'm not ignoring you. I'm either sleeping, working, exhausted. You know, it happens, but we're friends. It's official now. Yeah, but yeah, Groovin's awesome. Big supporter. Fantastic dude. An even better streamer. Wait, that came out wrong. Good streamer, an even better dude. There you go. That order. And then last but not least is DJ Press, my new friend. He's my favorite customer. And funny dude. You're fucking hilarious.
Damn, son, this crack ain't you. Oh, fuck, it's
your streams crack me up.
Oh, that was perfect. Somebody clip that for the Mickey Mouse music in the background.
You know, you actually kind of remind me of. DJ is like a black Matt McMuscles, if you guys know who that is. Oh fuck, I missed. Oh wait, I'm trying to save that guy. No, I did. Did I? Wait, right way? Yeah. But yeah, so if anybody who's new here, I'm not really completing the game per se, but I'm doing as much of this as I can And as of right now, this is my favorite Dead Rising. I've only played one, well, technically I played them all now, but this is my first time playing this one, and I'm quite enjoying it. You angrily stabbed that folding chair, my G. Yeah, I did. He was like fucking. That way? Yeah. Oh shit! My car! It's broken! Fuckers! Alright. That was a surprise for me too. I didn't expect it to get blown up. All my health is gone. Never mind. Rip van. Yeah. Oh shit, the van as well. It reminds me of the old school PlayStation Twisted Metal. Oh, yeah, it does kind of look like Sweet Tooth's van, huh? Ice cream truck. Oh my god, they steered the wheel. That wasn't me. Oh no! I'm gonna die. Oh my god, I'm stuck. God. Why is everything going wrong? What's happening? That's my fault. Bro, we used to get so mad, inebriated, and play Twisted Metal multiplayer all night. Well, if you like Twisted Metal, I'm assuming you play Twisted Metal Black. To me, that's like the definitive Twisted Metal. That's the best one. I'm gonna die. Oh my god, I am gonna die. I need a vehicle. Where am I going? Right way? Yes. Give me a fucking car. Oh, there's a coffee. Fuck. Got the bagel. Trying to eat. Nutrition. All right, that'll do. That was stressful. I was dicked out to suck for a car right now. Oh, you'll have to do. But yeah, if you haven't played it, look up Twisted Metal Black. The game is awesome. I went the wrong way. I gotta turn around this way because I think it'll connect. Right? Yep. What kind of sandwich did you get? What the fuck? What the fuck? I'm not trying to purchase anything. I'm trying to attack. Hold on. Shit just got real. Mad real. Roman candles. Helmet. Made a fried egg air melt. Oh yeah, dude, your egg melts look fucking delicious, by the way. I want one. Give me one, and then give me some of your mead. Oh shit. I thought I can combine these. Stupid. Oh shit, hell yeah. This works. This works. Oh! Okay, I was like, I needed that. I made one with shit I had in the fridge, tuna and hummus and greens. That sounds good. That sounds really good, actually, dude. Damn. Dude, I love hummus. How many points? Oh, I got a lot of points. PP! My max PP gain. Hopefully I level up faster now. Life would be cool. Survivor and 1 life cube. Life cube. Feed duration and effects. Partial life regeneration. That's what I need. Survivor recovery. All right, let me get the fuck out of here. Well, hold on. Oh, it's this building. Holy shit. Oh my god. It's like zombies are already scary, right? But you give them a gun, it's just like, ah. Let's get the XXX store. Oh, yeah, I'm not going the wrong way. Yeah, Depa pesto on top, and that's a secret weapon. It's like basil pesto. It slaps. Dude, you're right. The little basil pesto goes a long way. It is a secret weapon. A little mad scientist over there, aren't you? Alright, let me see if I can find a way over there. XXX store. Hold on. Let me get a fucking falafel or something first, bro. I'm not full health. I can't go into a boss fight like this. In this condition? You crazy. You tripping. Maybe I don't have a choice, because everything else seems like either closed or covered in zombies. Is that edible? No. Give me anything. I'll take a fucking Reese's peanut butter cup. Take a little bean. Alright, I think I'll be okay. I'll be okay. I believe in myself. You wanna know why? Oh, because there's a burrito right here. Hell yeah. Fuck off. Then some soft drink. Then let's go. Wait, how did I really just run around this whole building? I think I did. I have no sense of direction, but that's okay. Here we go.
Looks like I got some brakes.
Skunky or Stunky. All right, got a flashlight, some go-go boots, music CDs, dildos. Okay. Uh-oh. Uh-oh.
What are you doing in here? You all right? Do you need some help?
Looks like Frank almost.
Oh, shit. It's okay. I'm not gonna hurt you.
Frank from 4. Idiot. Oh boy.
Just walked in the door and already presenting.
No reason to get too excited?
Why don't you go over there and lick that lollipop?
No, thank you.
Hey, man, I'm not licking anything of yours.
Maybe
Oh my god.
dancing.
Sorry, dude. Really not in the mood.
Oh, Jesus.
That door does not open again until you start being a little bit more obedient. If you don't listen to me,
It's very unsettling.
then I'm going to be one angry daddy.
Where'd you pull that from, Daddy? I want one.
Why don't you try taking some of my suggestions?
I call this the chlamydia. The clap.
A little more cooperative.
Oh, fuck off, dude. I don't like you.
Calm down, man.
Oh. 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 It's pelvic thrusting, everybody. He's pelvic thrusting. Oh, shit. Hey, leave the survivors alone. Didn't do anything to you. Oh, no. Scaring me, buddy. Alright, that's my fault. I knew it. Alright. The fuck? Tripping, dude. You killing? Die! Hurry up and die. Okay, cool. That was a little scary. That wasn't so bad. That wasn't so bad.
You gave me blue balls, you tease.
Stupid. Yeah. Yeah, I get it, buddy. Same thing happened to me the first time I saw Monsters Ball. What is this? Just empty it.
Oh, not now!
You guys doing? You guys good?
I'd be dead if it wasn't for you.
Anything but a chicken wing?
This'll do.
Here's a glizzy for you. What? Oh.
Bro, I owe you big time.
Yeah, you do. Katana sword and a cutout? Is that what the other piece was? I think it was. Rubber cutout. Let me go to like a store and I'll find something. Let me the fuck out. Ooh, it's a collectible. Where? Floor? So. Ah, shit. Tight, 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 tight. Car, shampoo, chair, nothing that I need. We just jump down, take a little damage, it's fine, don't worry about it. GTFO. You guys aren't following me, are you? They are. Where's the nearest safe house? I need you guys to f off. Tell you what, I'll get into a car. I'll take you to this safe house here. I know how to get into these ones, which was annoying. Actually, this looks like it's around the freeway. I should be able to open that and get in there. All right, you guys might be in luck. Might be. Fuck, you guys are following me. Alright, let's find the car. Idiots. You know who I am? Quick, I'll find this a sedan or something to hide in. We won't all fit on that. Will we fit in the taxi? No, it's not working. Nice! I found another van, guys. Fuck off.
Get something here. All right.
Oh shit, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to hit you. Get in the fucking van, please. Oh my god, you guys. I don't know how to do this. I can't. Chat, check your DMs. No, thank you. Do I have to? These lives depend on me. What are you up to, Jay? Oh, you're working. Alright, somebody hop in this fucking vehicle. Guys, I will leave you. I don't care. Alright, goodbye, guys. Love you. Chat, check your nature's pocket. Yeah, I'll check that later. Not a bad idea. I guess I'm doing the side mission. I tried to save him, but they didn't survive the horde. I tried, you guys all saw. Does breathe fire or something? No. I can make it. I can make it. How do I get over that? What? Man, this game is fucking Roblox. Come on. Come on. I can't hop that. Alright. Oh, can I do this? Ah, shit. Nature's pocket. That's a good one. Sweat! Perfect. What do you know? Where'd the gun go? Nah, it's not worth it. Oh, there's one. Okay, I'm gonna get it only because I want to make a Zara later. And this helps. That's like the missing ingredient. Stop it. Oh, I can do it now. Oh, cancel. Because I want to try this. Nice. Yep, straight shot. Yeah, it is a straight shot. Nice. Almost. It'll still connect.
Shit balls.
Oh shit, stop doing that. Oh shit. Oh, what the fuck? Alright. 1, 2. My shoe, bitch. Uh oh. No! Oh man. Saw nothing. I need food. Need nom noms. Nom nom. cooking oil. It's a nice cold beer. Right? Just keep going. Yeah, and I'll just have to hug it. I should have gotten out of that car. I know exactly where I'm at. Not a fire axe. Examine the guy. Come on, game. Fucking game. Ah, it was right there. Inspect. That's my biggest problem with this game, personally. It just, there's so much shit on the floor. And like I said, you aim with like your body, so it's like the game actually does a terrible job at letting you pick what you're trying to look at. Inspect it. Thank you. One of my pee-pee. That's fine. I'm basically there, but oh, I am here. Right? Car lot rooftop. Okay. Oh yeah. Fucked up. How do I? Is there a door?
Sure. We had to meet on the roof.
Indoors? Oh, is it over here? Here. Right, nail gun, box of nails, energy drink. Oh. What the fuck? No, I don't do that. Oh, might as well do this real quick. And just for a second. Little has been caught by shattered limit. Hell yeah. What's up, dude?
Clear the area! Kiss your ass goodbye!
I bet they're holding our people in that main detention area over there behind that electrical fence. We have to cut the power to get on the inside of there, though. Power supply is probably in that main building over there.
See ya, asshole!
Look, Nick, there's a couple of ways you can go about this. You can fight your way straight through, right? Or you can go around the perimeter and find a way to climb on the inside.
You on there?
Or you found one of their uniforms, they look just stupid enough. Let you
Oh, I'm already wearing one. What are the odds? Is that enough? My boots don't count. No, I have this R. I'll just shoot him in the fucking brain, but.
Get an escape vehicle. You're gonna go on the inside of that main building, which is probably HQ, and cut the power. And then get over to the detention area. I'll meet you on the inside, and we'll get our people out together.
Inside. Right. So wait, what's the plan?
Light, disguise. Sure, no problem.
They let me in? You guys gonna attack me? Are we cool? Nope. Where you at? There you are. Fuck. Wait. Okay. And then... Oh, man. You're actually doing a lot of damage. Shit. That's actually really not good. Where are you? I need freaking food. Proper food in here. Okay, there's beer. Counts. Not lawn chair. Pick it up. Pick up the melon. Hate melons, but pick it up. And then... This count? Yep. Wait, yeah, I didn't really like that gun on its pummel. Czar's better.
Yes.
Alright, bring it on, bitches. Oh, there you are. Where are you? Sick. Split shot? Oh, nice. Split shot, which is... Split shot is... lead pipe and an assault rifle. Lead pipe. And then assault rifle. Oh. Any chainsaw? No. All right. No. God damn it. Hey, pick. Wow, it won't let me pick? Split shot, there we go. I get it. I get it. Where'd that mini chainsaw go, though? It's gonna die soon. So I might as well pick up... Found a sword. Shoot my way out. I thought I heard more.
Ma'am.
Hey, I think she was in the beginning of the game, wasn't she?
You cannot proceed with the destruction of the city while I'm still searching for him. I want my full 6 days, as you promised.
It was never the primary purpose of this operation.
As your commander-in-chief,
Oh, that's her. The Sarah Palin looking one.
It's wonderful news that we found you, Madam President.
Oh, she's the president? No. That's very progressive zombie future here. Oh!
We really needed a body.
That's fucked. Ew, it's like Resident Evil 5 kinda. But easier to go down than that weird like little flower parasite plagas thing. Oh, you bastards.
Get it on film and get it to the media right away. And then shoot her head right off.
You son of a bitch.
Mission accomplished.
No. I want this Diego. He wasn't at the museum with the rest of his unit. We must find him.
I've allowed you to pursue this fantasy because I enjoy indulging you, Marion.
Deactivating the chips won't be so easy next time. Something about the radiation we've used to turn the chips off. It's changing them.
This could be a blessing in disguise. I told my men to bring some of the mutations back for study. This substance they use, this...
I gotta watch that. The Substance? I heard that was supposed to be pretty good.
It could be the key to a new weapon.
Imbecile! Don't lose focus! Search the illegals in the quarantine tents, and if you cannot find this Diego...
Zombrex.
Like the infectious vermin.
Awesome.
Your wish is my pleasure.
Power supply must be in there. Hey! Oh shit.
Still. Fucker. Assault rifle. Gained 2, so I have 3 now. So that can go into life, probably. Life 2, but these fuckers be... They're dropping like flies! And then agility, fall damage. Recharge and duration. Is it like speed? Dodge recovery, knockdown recovery, sprint maneuverability, zombie crowd swim. That's cool. Vehicle push. Oh. Vehicle resistance. Oh. Range damage. Okay, okay, we're going range now. Now what? Destroy the generators? Alright, say less. Knock, knock! It's the FBI, motherfucker! It's the FBI, open up! Army boots? That's better than the one I'm wearing now. Ah, is it? I have to do anything or can I just shoot it? Nice sound. That one. Is that it? Nope. Oh, it is. Okay, cool. Free the captives. All right, I'm on my way, captives. Oh shit, it's Gary.
I'm so glad you're here.
Let's get out of here.
Annie? What was her fucking name again?
Give me, give me, give me!
Leave that bastard. He'll only cause us trouble.
I can't do that, Annie. Don't
Annie.
I don't want to take you.
Hurry.
You know, for a little prick, you ain't so bad.
Fuck you.
Call me that again, Gary.
You Fred Flintstone looking fuck. Nice Wilhelm scream. I always hate the Wilhelm scream. I get it, but like, unless you're Star Wars, don't. It always sticks out. Actually, it takes me out of the experience. Okay, what are we doing? Oh, okay, I can do that. Where the Spec Ops at? Damn, that was an accident. Where? There. It was too fucking dark. Okay, alright. Oh shit, you're right here. Wait. Stop it! Stop it! I need food! Fuck, 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 fuck! Fuck off! Oh my god, 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 oh my god. Someone throw me like a Snicker bar? Shut up, it's easy for you to say, you bitch. Say that one more time, and I will leave you. Yes. See you. Oh! Oh shit. Hit it.
Shit! I need a key card or something.
Commander?
You're not going anywhere.
I was really counting on him to go over there.
Get to the gate. Get to the gate. Run!
D-chopper! Hold on. Can I combine this and the pistol and make a cool weapon? That ship sailed. Fucking wait, bitch. You open the gate. You're so fucking eager to get out of here.
Hurry, let's go.
And yeah, I can for another czar, baby. I should probably upgrade my crafting, but there's bigger and better things right now. Okay, guys. They're right with you, Leo.
Go! Get out of here!
Hey, get back here! I'm not done with you yet!
God damn it, Gary.
I ought to put your lights out. I guess I owe you one. Back to work.
You're like 4, you piece of shit. Nice. Yeah, where were you? I was gonna say.
Wait. I gotta get the plane fueled up. And I gotta warn my friend. They're looking for him. Oh, I don't think your friend's the only one they're looking for. What the hell? Why? I don't know, man. You need to come clean with me. What's this all about? I swear, Red, I have no idea. Extremely dangerous, my ass.
Should we meet at the plane? It's at the shipping warehouse down at the docks.
I'm gonna go look for Andy.
Go.
Let's meet up at the
Check your DMs.
bar at Sunset Hills later, okay?
Where's the fuel?
It's at central storage down on the
Did send me some.
under the bridge. Parked just inside. You can't miss it.
Stupid piece of shit. Stop the stream. You're funny. Thank you for checking your DMs. That's actually pretty good. That's pretty good. Ciao. Let's get the barbershop. Oh, it's right there too. Nice. Any hobos bother you tonight? Okay. Honestly, you should bring like your Switch with you or something. If you're allowed to. I think you said you can as long as you do your rounds. No? Want to get a Stream Deck? Steam Deck. I keep saying Stream Deck. Yeah, I want one too, actually. Are you gonna get like the big dick OLED model and all that? And this car is gonna explode. Right, went the right way? Yeah, I can technically go on foot. Oh no, I might wait for a Stream Deck too. Is that, I said it again. Is that really a thing? Is that like official announced? Steam Deck 2. Electric Boogaloo. Steam Deck 2, Steam harder. Steam Decks.
Gotta be fast. Fast to survive. Not fast. Die.
Probably wait another year or two.
Hey, whoa. Been a while since you took a shower, huh?
I want one.
No, yeah, guess I pissed myself. Sure,
Nice, I glenned him.
Like to race, huh? Even with all the zombies around.
Want to race?
Run, yeah, I can.
Shit. Any? My agility's not the best.
Race, come on, me and you. Yes. Bet I can beat you. Bet I can. You scared to race me? Come on.
Oh, motherfucker! I wasn't ready. I was scratching my arm. I will shoot you in the knee. Not yet.
Wait for it. Go.
Is he behind me? I'm running out of stamina. No. Ah, fuck. Just leave the zombies for him. Wow. Where is he? Oh, he's right there. Derek or whatever. Oh, I might win this. Oh shit. Under arms. Hold on. Stop it. Stop climbing. Okay. Is homeboy there? Yeah, he's. Oh, fuck, he's close.
You got this, man. You got it.
Fuck. Come on. No, don't do that. Oh, there's blueprints right there. Fuck. Yeah, Nick, go.
Yo, some chef dude freaking out over at South Almuda Recycling. Maybe he lost his muffins.
Oh boy.
Oh my god! Oh my god!
Oh man. How many more fucking... Oh, we lost him. Hopefully he's gonna eat and I don't care. Oh man, right. Am I winning? I'm winning, but like, how much longer is this race gonna be?
And the crowd goes wild.
Yeah, fuck you, Derek.
Can't always win. Running and taking care of the trophies.
Are we done here? What's the point of that? Did I win the mission? The door unlocked.
As your coach.
This briefcase.
Yeah. Well, you keep on running, buddy.
Ooh, shit. Tight. Alright, you keep them off. I'll build. Policia. Assault rifle. What is that? Oh, large machine gun. It's like a million Zars on me. 2, 3. Sure. Is there any food in here? There's snacks? No. No cereal or nothing? Oh, there we go. What is this? Whiskey? Whiskey? Sure. Tactical boots. How did you know? Why does that? Alright, let me get this one because I want it for the teddy bear. Great, 50 combo weapons. That's just now got 50? I need some melee. Alright. Side mission is investigate the police station. But actually, I think this is probably a good spot to call it, personally, so I'm gonna save. It's been about an hour and a half. 3.5 hours, I mean, goddamn. Can't read, can't talk tonight. But I feel like this is a perfectly fine spot. We're gonna move over. I think I broke that somehow. We're gonna see who's live. Look at that, I'm live. Who else? Alright, we got Lovely Lotus playing there. We got Fantastic playing Bionicle Heroes. Sleepy T is playing Ghouls and Ghosts. Ooh, arcade. Raid your fridge? I'm gonna raid your mead cellar. I imagine you have a cellar. I don't know. Let's raid Shinisan. She's fun. And she's playing Rogue Galaxy right now. Let's do that. Well, alright, everybody. As always, actually, let's work through OBS. Or let me see. So, raid Shinisan. Please. Do it? Oh, I have to do it over here. Fuck, I can't raid through OBS right now. I have a mod here. Oh, they're all sleeping. Oh, bye, Shoddy. Oh, Shoddy, can you help me out? I can't type into OBS for a raid. Can you raid Shinisan like this? It won't let me do it right now because OBS is being weird. It's like the chat is like disabled. Can't write in it. You know how to do that? Also, hi, Shoddy. How's your games going? Groovin, if I modded you for like 10 seconds, can you do it? How do I raid? It's /raid space name. Like raid with a /. OBS won't work for me right now for some reason. I'm gonna have to investigate. What happens if I do this? Was a dockable window? Like to show again. Use the docks. Maybe I can do this. Raid name, yeah, like that. Minus that, yeah. Cats. Oh, fixed it. I just had to close it and reopen it. I was just afraid I would close the stream. Raid Shinisan. Thank you. Alright, I have a raid in progress. Who did it? Alright, well, whoever did was a shoddy. Thank you so much. Mwah. Everybody else here, I appreciate you. Thank you for hanging out. Thank you for the sub, Bo, if you're still there. And bye, everybody.